That's the truth. I got real estate in 1994. Is when I first got real estate, so that's how many years ago?
32.
32 years ago, so 32 years, yeah.
32 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so Mike, what did you do before that?
Before that, I was in the Marines.
In the Marines?
Yes.
How long were you in the Marines?
So about 8 years altogether, yeah.
About 8 years old.
Now, by the way, real quick, never let a generic answer stand. So when I said I was in the Marines, did that really tell you what I did?
No.
So it's kind of generic. It's like saying I work in IT. It's pretty generic. I could have been a janitor. I could have, are you following me? I could have done anything.
So what I said, tell me more about the
Yeah,
Marines.
tell me more about that. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, tell me more about the Marines.
So I went in 1987 is when I went in right out of high school. I started off as a military police, and went from MP. I graduated top of my class, and then I got selected to go to work with, which was called SRT, Special Response Teams. That's like the equivalent of the SWAT team of the military. Graduated top of my class there, and then I got selected to go to CID school, which is the Criminal Investigation Division. So, which is like the FBI of the military. And then from there, I got recruited to a federal agency called NIS, now called NCIS. So, yeah, so that's what I did.
Okay, so you have a lot of background there in a lot of different roles that you played.
I did, yeah, I had a lot of experience. Now, pause. What do y'all know about me right now?
You're an overachiever.
You achieve a lot, you love brain work.
I love brain work.
Intelligent.
I'm competitive.
Yes,
Yeah.
you like to move up.
Okay, are y'all getting this? This is retrospective cognitive involvement. Okay, y'all following this along? Yeah, great job. So keep going.
So, what did you like about doing that? I mean, well,
Yeah.
let's back up, because there was a lot of different roles that you played.
There was,
So
yeah.
what was your favorite of all the roles that you played in the Marines?
Oh gosh, you know what? It's actually funny you asked that because nobody in real life has ever asked me that question. Nobody's ever asked me that question. As a CID agent, part of my job was personal security detail for VIPs and high-profile dignitaries. So during Desert Shield, I got to be the bodyguard for Barbara Bush, for Dick Cheney, for Prince Charles, for a handful of other senators. So my job during Desert Storm was dignitaries and high-ranking people. My job was to get them into high-risk places and get them back out safely. So I got to work with Colin Powell, General Schwarzkopf. I literally got to be in the room, like literally physically in the room, where the plans for Desert Storm were drawn up. And so I was a fly on the wall. But that was my job, was to get these people in and out of these places safely. Yeah.
That's incredible.
That was probably the best job. That was the best part of the job.
The best part of the job?
Barbara Bush is really cool. She gave me a little teddy bear.
I can see her doing that.
She was really cool. She was one of the first person that actually came up and thanked me personally. And she goes, I know what it means to you to be here. And I also know what it means for your family to have you be here. And I just want you to know that I appreciate you and the sacrifice your family's making for you to be here. And it was pretty cool. Yeah.
So that was your favorite role?
That was my favorite.
What did you like about that role?
Yeah. Getting to meet people and learning from them. And again, I got to be a fly on the wall and listen and learn and observe. And I got to learn from some of the greatest minds. And I mean, people don't realize how smart military people are at that level. But these people are brilliant. I mean, they're geniuses. They're brilliant. And I got to learn from them. And when it was, when I got to drive, and I was literally the driver for these people. And when I was driving for them, they let me ask questions. And I was asking all kinds of leadership questions and learning from them. I remember one general, General Livingston, who's a Congressional Medal of Honor recipient. And I was driving for General Livingston, and I got promoted really fast. I got promoted above my peers. So I got what's called meritoriously promoted. So I didn't have to do my time and grade. They just say, congratulations, you're now promoted to this rank. And so I went from I was here and my boss was here, and then the next day I was my boss's boss.
Oh my goodness.
And so all of a sudden, these people who were my friends that were here, I was now here, and they were no longer my friends. I had to have, and so I asked them, how do you you get through that? How do you work through that? And he taught me a bunch of stuff that I turned into coaching calls later on about there's always going to be a group of people that love you. There's always going to be a group of people that hate you. If you're doing your job, you're going to have people that hate you. If you're not doing your job, everybody loves you. So how you know you're doing your job is the balance between those that like you and those that don't. So yeah, that was one of my biggest learning lessons.
I really appreciate that. So what caused you to get into real estate, or change your career?
Great job, great job. Okay, you guys get this? Okay, so and I was just freely talking. Now where am I in my head right now? Like energetic. I'm reliving. And I'm loving it in my head. Are y'all with me? And I'm thinking about, now by the way, what do I value? This is, and I'm not making this up. This isn't a role play. This is real. I'm not making this stuff up. What do I value? Learning. Selling.
Being around other people.
Okay, I love learning. I love growing and personally developing. You guys get this?
Your relationships.
What do I do right now? What am I doing right now?
Yeah.
Is it any, okay, you guys get this? Is it any wonder why I'm a MAPS coach and a master faculty? Are y'all getting that? I've been at my journey. Okay, now we'll keep going.
Okay, so what caused you to get into real estate or the change of career?
Yeah, good question. When I was an interrogator, we used to have these things called pagers. They were before cell phones.
Hey, I know the pager. We're on the same way.
And a pager was this little box that you had to wear and carry with you everywhere you went.
Yes.
And when the pager buzzed, you had to go to work.
Right.
Okay, yes.
And when my pager buzzed, the phone number was actually a code. The area code told me what year I needed. The first 3 numbers told me where I needed to be, and the last 4 numbers was actually the time where I needed to be there. So every time my pager went off, the phone number that they put in there was actually a code that I gotta go get this gear, go to this location at this time. My pager goes off, it says you gotta go to the airfield, maybe it's been in California, out in 29 Palms, California, which is out in the middle of god-awful nowhere. I had to go to the airfield out there, get on the back of an airplane, and wait for further instructions. So I did that and waited for 6 hours in about 110-degree heat. Now, what was going on before that? I was having dinner with a really pretty girl. And she was really smart, and I like smart people. And I'm like, this one might have potential. And my pager went off. And I had to go to work. And of course I had to tell her, she's like, well, where are you going? I don't know, I can't tell you. When are you gonna be back? I don't know. Because I really didn't know. So needless to say, that was the last and only date that I had with her. So I'm on the back of this plane, and then my boss, who was a 2-star general, comes out and says, okay, stand down. Situation's been resolved. You're not going anywhere. And I realized in that moment that I would never be a father. Yeah. I realized in that moment that I wouldn't be able to be the dad that I want to be someday. I knew I wanted to be married one day. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to have the white picket fence and have all that life. And I knew if I stay on this track, there's no way I'm ever going to do this. So I made a decision that day that this was going to be the end of it for me. I was going to resign. So I went and talked to a friend of mine. A friend of mine was Sonny Bono. So some people know who he is, most people don't, because a long time ago, Sonny and Cher, but Sonny Bono was a friend of mine. And he was one of the best mentors I ever had in my life. And he lived in Palm Springs at that time. And I used to stay in his guest house all the time in Palm Springs. So I was talking to Sonny, and I was telling him, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And at that time, I was being courted by many different agencies, and they were paying very good money. And I said, but then I'm going to be in the same boat all over again. I'm not going to do that. And Sonny's the one that said, you ever thought about real estate? And I said, no, tell me more. So I decided to go to real estate, yeah. So that's how I made made that decision.
Wow. That's, sorry, I was getting emotional there with you for a second.
Okay, now we're gonna pause there. Thank you. You did a great job.
Casually dropped
Right
the
now,
hottest lure
you all
2026.
know everything you need to know to recruit me. You guys get this?
Yeah.
What's my move button?
You wanna be able to control your time.
Family.
Not just family. Go a little deeper. It's flexible freeability. What is it about being
Your
family?
fight or flight.
Who do you want?
My fight or flight kicked
Every
off.
second you were at the call, this leader never knowing what was gonna happen, and then you lost the one thing that you thought was gonna be your new future
Yes.
from that job.
Yes.
So there was a, like, pain.
You are going to be very good at this. You nailed it. You're exactly right. So, and it wasn't just you nailed it. Seriously, it was about the pager. It was about the unknown of that. And every time I'm getting called away and not knowing what it is, and it's also pulling me away from being present with my family. Y'all, you see what I mean? It wasn't just about family. It was about being there, being able to be present for them. Okay, are y'all with me on this? Now, I shared with you a moment ago. I did resign as the director of leadership coaching back in December. You know why? I want to be in California with my grandbaby. I want my grandbaby to know who grandpa is. So for 2 months, this last 2 months, I just got home actually recently, but I got to be parked on the beach at Camp Pendleton, on the Marine Corps base in Camp Pendleton, on the beach for 2 months living in my RV, so I could be with my granddaughter. Are y'all following me on that? I couldn't do that if I stayed in that role. See, the same reason, and thank you by the way, you did a great job.
You're welcome.